evening and welcome back to the RoryTalksFootball YouTube channel. It is a Monday. I apologise for the tardiness. We are late for the stream, but for good reason. I was filming with the back post. Big podcast out this evening. So feel free to check that out after this. But we've got some stuff to talk about. We'll be going through Trossard's update. Merino's posted an update. Talking about Nwaneri, his loan at Marseille. Started brilliantly. Hasn't continued so well. I wanted to talk about Ødegaard and whether or not he comes straight back into the starting lineup. And we'll talk about everything that happened at the weekend as well. Just have a little bit of a catch-up because we've not spoken since before the weekend. But I hope you're all doing well. There's loads of you here, which we absolutely love to see. And if you could subscribe, we're on the way. And we're actually getting pretty close to 35,000 subscribers. If you could like the stream as well, especially those of you that are here right now, I'd be very grateful. VV Vlad's in the building. Omar, Leeds Gunner, Ethan Udall, Cheyenne, Ross Lawman, Braden. Scored a worldie at my footy game today. Did a backflip celebration. It didn't matter. We were still 6 goals behind the other team. Gary Neville believes in me. Well, there you go, Ross. There you go. The Goon Platoon have assembled. Icarus is here. Francis is here. Good to see you. Good to see you all. Nid's here as well. What a legend. What a legend. Was speaking to my dad about where the squad improves and shock sales I see. Ødegaard being sold in the summer. Defensively does nothing, lost the ball countless times against Forest. I don't think Ødegaard gets sold in the summer. But I think there's a conversation potentially that ends up being had about Ødegaard's role within the squad. I do think that may end up being a conversation. And we'll talk about that later in the stream. I haven't been here for a while, still without Wi-Fi. You probably don't remember me. I do remember you, Pelzer. I do remember you, Pelzer, actually. So, I don't know why you've not been here. Something to do with Wi-Fi. Relatable. But it is good to see you back. What's the bet? Man City drop points versus Fulham? Yeah, we'll talk about that. I think there's been a lot of overreaction to City's win, to be honest, and what it means for the title race. Cheyenne says, can you shout out Fireelds? It's his birthday today. Happy birthday to Fireelds. If it is your birthday and Cheyenne isn't trolling, happy birthday. Carl, thank you very, very much for being a member for 8 months. I went through the remaining 13-game fixtures for us and City. Still confident, but City's fixtures are a bit easier than I thought. See, I think City have got harder fixtures than us. In my opinion, City have got the harder fixtures. Maybe we'll go through them later in the stream and compare, but that's my feeling. Rory remembers his day ones. I do remember the day ones. Always. Let's be honest. Man City really are not all that. They will drop points. Don't buy into this anti-Arsenal narrative that gets pumped out incessantly. Yeah, and look, in fairness, I will say this. I don't necessarily think right now, when you see people getting all giddy about Man City winning and, you know, you see all the conversation in the media about the pressure being on Arsenal and they have a title race to sell. Like, that is a thing. They need to sell this as a title race. They didn't get a title race last season. And if you go and look at the data and you look at the viewing figures and stuff, it falls off a cliff towards the end of the season if there's no title race. So they needed the title race. And that is why they definitely, I mean, listening to some of the commentary back, you can tell they want City to win that game. They need City to win that game. And now they need to sell it to you that there's a real title race going on here. So I don't necessarily think it's anti-Arsenal. I think it's pro-competitive title race, if that makes sense. How hard is it to get tickets as someone flying from Australia? More difficult now than it has been in a while, to be fair. Suddenly, everyone wants to be going to all the games again. It was earlier in the season, it was not easy, but it was easier to get tickets. Now, suddenly everyone wants to be back again, which is, you know, all the fickle fans. But it depends how much money you're willing to spend, to be honest. You'll always be able to get tickets off resale sites for crazy money. So, depends how much you want to spend. Funny that Rodri wasn't complaining about the referees this weekend. They were given a last gasp penalty. Yeah, I to be honest, I'm stunned that Rodri hasn't been penalised for those comments. You think Mikel Arteta got dragged in front of a bloody trial to defend himself for saying that the referee was a disgrace? Rodri outright said that they're deliberately making decisions against Man City, and he's not had any punishment at all, which is kind of crazy. Got tickets to Bournemouth. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. Neville's commentary is embarrassing in the last games. Yeah, it has been a bit strange. It has been a bit strange, to be honest with you. Look, let's get into a couple of the updates. The first one, Leandro Trossard. Now, this was an update that's kind of, he went off in, well, he went down and he went off. And I'll be honest, when I watched it back on, what was I watching? Oh, I was watching Game of the Day on Sky, where it just shows the full replays of all the games. I was a little bit concerned for Trossard because he played the ball off and then he kind of just, he felt the back of his right hamstring and then flopped to the floor. And I was worried that it was something muscular. But according to AFC Camden, he said Trossard is just suffering from cramp. It was only cramp, which I've heard as well. So the update is it's not an injury. It was just cramp. And sometimes, like, they thought Dorgu was cramp against Arsenal. It turned out it was a 10-week injury. So you've got to be careful with it. But yeah, it is just cramp. So we're all good on that front. What do you guys experience in the UK with Sky? Yeah, it's pretty terrible. Luckily, when we do the watch along, obviously we did the watch along on the back post. Shout out to the Goon platoon that assembled. HOA mentioned it on his Instagram as well. Oh, fair enough. I didn't see that. I've not seen his Q&A, no. I'll be honest with you. Instagram is a platform that I don't really use. I just post on it. Yeah, shout out to the Goon platoon assembling for the watch along yesterday. But the watch along, we can't hear the commentary. And to be honest, I think that's a good thing. Can you play in the morning Wembley game, please? Can you play in the morning Wembley game? What do you mean? Big up the stream. You should be the next guest on Loose Cannons podcast. I'm spamming Turkish. Listen, if they ever want me on, I'm there. I'm more than happy to go on. Theory that the player, we play better with 4 injured players. Theory that we play better with 4 injured players. I just think we've got far better at handling injuries, to be honest with you. Like, it's almost unfathomable that we went into that game at the weekend without Ødegaard and Saka, and it wasn't even spoken about. Like, it genuinely wasn't even mentioned that we didn't have what were, up until this season, our 2 most sort of creative and dangerous players. I think that is testament to the business that we've done, that it didn't matter. We started the weekend 6 points clear and we ended at 6 points clear. We just got to keep doing our job and ignore the media noise. Facts. Absolute facts. Pigeonhead, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Chance we sell Merino this summer? No. If we sell a midfielder this summer, it'll be Norgard, I think. Merino is like, I don't think people appreciate the importance of Merino in the squad. He's an incredibly experienced player, an incredibly intelligent player. On Mikel Merino, well, given that you've brought it up, he has had his surgery today. He posted himself on Instagram a picture of him in the hospital. He said, surgery done, already closer to being back. Thank you so much to everyone for your messages and love. It really gives me even more energy to face this challenge. Vamos. So, yeah, it is what it is with Merino. I think he'll be out for basically the whole season, but hopefully the surgery went well and he is on the road to recovery. I walked past you twice at the Emirates, but was too nervous to ask for a picture. Ask for a picture. I have no problem stopping and taking pictures with people. It's I don't know what the word is. I enjoy it, you know. It's a pretty cool thing to happen. So, which other football podcasts and commentators do you enjoy listening to? Not many. And not in like, they're all crap. I just don't. I spend so much time making content. I don't have that much time to consume it. So, like, I normally try and watch Match of the Day because for what everyone says about Match of the Day, I still think it's the sort of pinnacle almost of non-live match coverage. Like last night, I thought Joe Hart was excellent talking about like the goalkeeping for Szoboszlai's goal and stuff like that. So I still enjoyed that. Obviously, I listen to all of the TikTokers that I'm friends with. And then I dip in and out of podcasts here and there. But yeah, I don't listen to too much, to be honest with you. Pitch side? No, I don't. I watched the prediction show with Lewis and Tom because that's just chaos. So that's funny, right? That's an entertainment thing rather than anything else. But it's difficult. The thing is, like, when you do your own football podcast and you've covered all of the talking points and you've heard the opinions of the people you do the podcast with, it's kind of like, I've already listened to a football podcast about the weekend when I filmed it. Joe Hart, potentially one of the more arrogant players I've met. Possibly, but I think he's a really good pundit when it comes to goalkeeping. So the different knock, TDK Plus and the rest is football by Mika and them is good. Yeah, again, to be fair, I watch a lot of clips. So I see a lot of clips from things like the rest is football and stuff. But yeah, I won't compare him to our legends, but many great players have taken longer to find form. Hopefully our striker is on his way to silencing the doubters. Come on, you Gunners. Here's a fact for you. Here's a little fact for you. If you want to take this into debates. Victor Gyökeres is 2 goals away from equaling Didier Drogba's first season in the Premier League. And Didier Drogba's first season in the Premier League, he was like, people talk about how Gyökeres' age and how he should have been ready to go because it's not like he's a young player. Drogba was in his mid-20s when he joined the Premier League. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Sometimes you sound smarter when you talk football alone, but it's funnier when you're chatting to Tobes and Seb. Yeah, it's a different thing, right? Because sometimes when I'm like, when you're talking to, especially when you're friends with the people, like if I go on a show where it's people that I don't particularly know, then you're kind of just being like, it's the same as this, right? When it's with Tobes and Seb, I'm trying to wind them up at points as well. Which is just friends hanging out, talking about football, trying to get on each other's nerves. So, would you say you jumped off the Gyökeres train and now you're back on? I wouldn't say I jumped off the Gyökeres train, but there was definitely a point where I felt he needed to. I made a video. I thought he needed to come out of the team. And in fairness, I don't necessarily think I was wrong with that because you look at some of his best performances, they are off the bench. And I do think him coming on whilst we're leading a game and killing, I do think that's a valuable way of using Gyökeres. Now, if he can use that as a springboard to then starting games and performing at the same level, great. But no, I was struggling with him, and he was struggling, in fairness. So, will your YouTube channel develop into panel shows with guests, etc.? It's an interesting one, because what I enjoy about this is that it's more my opinion and your opinion, and we chat. Whereas if I do that, the thing with hosting is then I actually take a backseat from giving my opinions and stuff and just become a bit of a host. And I don't know if I want to do that. So, yeah, I don't know. I think we will do more stuff like that, particularly with a lot of the TikTokers that I'm friends with that are getting into YouTube themselves and trying to do more YouTube themselves. I think that's an area that we could do more stuff with. But, yeah, it's difficult to know. There are enough panel shows. Exactly. There are loads of panel shows. And the thing with panel shows, Football 12 Man is good as well. Yeah, it is. And I like, even though I disagree with him a lot of the time, I like him. Who's the host on the back post? We don't really have one. Neither one of us is like the host of the back post. We're all just co-hosts, really. But depending on the game, different people will take on different roles. So like when we did the watch along for the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final, obviously Seb kind of hosted that because me and Toes were trying to watch the game. And that's kind of how it works. Rory, would you take 15 Premier League goals from Gyökeres? Yeah. Yeah, I would. And he's up to 8. He's got, is it 13 in all comps for Gyökeres now this season? Yeah, he could comfortably hit 20 goals in his opening season. I don't think that's bad. I don't think it's bad. Can anyone tell me the Trossard update? Trossard just had cramp. The update is that it's not an injury. It was just cramp. So don't need to worry about it. Do you think Spurs could actually be dragged into a relegation battle? West Ham and Leeds look good at the moment. Yes. Listen to the Back Post podcast because if you want my opinion on that, listen to the Back Post podcast. We spoke about it in a bit of depth today. But yeah, they're definitely in a scrap. You look at their next 4 games. They've got Newcastle, North London derby, Fulham away. And they've got to do all of that without Romero and with a bunch of injuries. So I do think they're in a little bit of danger. Would you rather win the Premier League and Spurs get relegated, or win the Premier League and champs but Spurs stay up? Premier League and champs. Premier League and champs. By an absolute... Look, do you know what's crazy, right? Spurs getting relegated would objectively be one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It would be absolutely hilarious for a month. For a month at max, right? It would be hilarious. And then it would be like, Spurs are a championship club for this season. First of all, that means you don't get a North London derby for the season, which I think is not good. I enjoy North London derbies. Secondly, 1 month of laughing at Spurs at the expense of winning the Champions League is a horrific trade-off. Absolutely horrific trade-off. So yeah, no. Need a United fan on the Back Post pod. The whole idea of the Back Post podcast is that it's three London fans, right? The whole. Well, there's two things with the dynamic, right? The first is that the three of us are friends off camera, and the second is that it is Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, and that dynamic of us kind of hating each other. I don't know any United fans that live in London that I'm friends with, so it would be a difficult one to do. We can get guests on though, right? That's the good thing. Rory, would you ever have Chelsea fan Dan from Rational League on Back Post? Really enjoying listening to both of you. Yeah, I would actually. I like Dan. It's a shame because I don't do Mo's show anymore. I don't do the Rational League anymore because I just don't have time. But I always enjoyed doing stuff with Dan. Yeah, he's great. And I would. To be fair, they got Byrne on. We're good friends with Byrne, who's a TikToker, who's a Chelsea fan. He's hilarious. But no, for sure. Thoughts on Morgan Rogers news, him or Yildiz? Yeah, let me just run you through that Morgan Rogers news. It was a bit wishy-washy, right? So this came from Fabrizio Romano on a podcast. Fabrizio Romano said this. He said, yes, Morgan Rogers extended his contract at Aston Villa a few months ago, but there will be movement again. His situation will be one to watch in the summer. I'm sure Chelsea is still tracking him. He's a dream target for Tottenham. Let's see if other clubs join the race, like Arsenal and other clubs who can be involved in this possibility. That is very, very wishy-washy. So, yes, Rogers signed a new contract, but he might move in the summer, and Chelsea are probably still tracking him, and Tottenham probably really want him, and Arsenal and other clubs are probably in the mix. Wow. What a piece of news that is. Yeah. That's fundamentally the same as Kenan Yildiz, right? Rogers is locked into a new long-term deal. He did it in the summer. Kenan Yildiz is now locked into a new long-term deal. That just increases the price. That's all it does. Every player has a price. Every club has a price that they have to sell at. Serie A clubs, that price is not particularly high anymore because they don't have money. They need money. If Arsenal walk along and slap it on the table, we can do it. Now, whether we will do it or not is a whole other question. But, yeah, you never know. You never know. Sam Deere has just absolutely perfectly set me up for the next thing I was going to talk about. That is sensational because that's not even in the title of the stream, but it is the next talking point. Ethan Nwaneri. Now, Ethan Nwaneri started his loan spell at Marseille brilliantly, right? He got the goal in his first game, 13 minutes into his debut. It was perfect. Since then, it's not gone perfectly at all. Marseille got dumped out of the Champions League, which was a real shame for him and for them. And that has then caused a load of internal and external drama. De Zerbi, he was going to leave, then he was going to stay, then he's falling out with this, that, and the other. They've got ultras kicking off at the team. Marseille have one of the most hostile and harsh fan bases. They lost 5-0 to PSG yesterday. Nwaneri got subbed at half-time, and he is now coming under a lot of criticism from the Marseille fan base, which is obviously a very difficult thing for him to deal with. It's an incredibly new experience for him at 18 years old. Like, that is tough. Is the dressing room video fake? Yeah, completely fake. I don't know why that went around today. There was a video of a dressing room and they were speaking French, but the tweets that were posting it were claiming that De Zerbi was telling a Marseille player to leave the club. The person speaking in the video, to put it bluntly, is not a white person. So it wasn't De Zerbi. And I don't really know what the video was, but it was not De Zerbi telling a player to leave the club, which was the way that the tweet kept being framed. But there's all of the stuff with De Zerbi, and bear in mind it was Arteta and the club preferring De Zerbi over anything else. The reason they sent Nwaneri to Marseille, it was De Zerbi was the pull factor, and he's now under massive scrutiny. And Nwaneri's got to deal with this fan base, and the criticism of Nwaneri is that for as good as he looks on the ball, physically he's struggling and tactically he's struggling, right? So he's struggling with the physical side of playing midfield, and he's struggling with the tactical elements of being a midfielder and doing the defensive duties and all of that. Twitter video was fake. Yeah. Now, those are the exact things that he struggled with at Arsenal, right? The criticisms I've had of Nwaneri this season and the reasons that I have kind of accepted Arteta not playing Nwaneri more are struggling a little bit physically and struggling with the tactical demands of playing in midfield and knowing where you need to be defensively and showing yourself and all of that. So I'm not surprised that he's struggling with the same thing with De Zerbi. And I actually think it's a good thing. I think this is people are painting this as, we shouldn't have sent him to Marseille because it's all going wrong, and he's going to have to deal with this, and he's getting hammered by all of these fans, and it's toxic and blah 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 blah. Learn. That's what he's there to do. He's there to learn, and he's learning, and it's going to be a steep learning curve, and it's going to be a harsh learning curve. And if he doesn't learn quickly, he is going to get backlash, and he is going to have that heat. But he's got the safety blanket of the fact that he's not a Marseille player. He's got the safety blanket of the fact that in the summer he comes back to Arsenal. So he can use that, and he can build and he can grow. And I think ultimately it will be a very, very good thing for him. If he was kept in the comfort blanket of being at Arsenal and realistically either not getting into the squad, or when he does get into the squad, not getting many minutes, and that was the easy option. The easy option was staying at Arsenal and continuing to just train at Arsenal and trying to. This was the tough option, and he will grow up. He'll be forced to grow up, and I don't think that's a bad thing whatsoever. So, look, as I said at the time, there are plenty of people that were going to find a way of complaining about the Nwaneri loan no matter what happened. The people that were complaining when he started the loan really well, saying, we should have kept him, he should be here. Now that he's not doing well, are saying, he should have never gone, and he's got to deal with all of that. There were people that you just can't please. Any update on Dalman's fitness? Arteta said that he's not back on grass or anything still, or training with the squads. We'll see. Where would you rate Zubimendi in Player of the Season power rankings? Easy top 5. He's made a couple of big mistakes which have tarnished the way that people look at him this season, even though, the Man United one was really costly. The Spurs one wasn't costly at all. It made no difference. I'd say top 5. Someone just keeps spamming Lee Gunner. Oh, no, you're not spamming Lee Gunner. You're saying, well, to be fair, I don't see anything from Lee Gunner anymore, to be fair. So I don't know what he's had to say about it, but top 2 and he's not 2. Nah, he's not player of the season for me. He's not player of the season so far. Game gone under the radar, but in the last 2 games of the Prem, we scored 7 goals. Signs of the 23-24 Arsenal. Your timing did me dirty. Sorry for the timing on the stream. Apologies if you're watching this back thinking, well, I was there at 5 and there was no stream. I do apologize. I wouldn't mind a huge bid for Elise in the summer. I don't think we'll go for a right-sided player. We've got Saka and Madueke for a long time. We got Saka and Madueke, and you kind of got Dalman. I don't think we'll go for signing of the season. Yeah, signing of the season. Sorry, was that the question? If the question was signing of the season power rankings, not player of the season power rankings, yeah, I think he's number 1 for signing of the season. Is there an Arsenal-Marseille pipeline? Guendouzi, Saliba, Nwaneri. Kind of. Although it's not the most fluid pipeline, to be honest with you, but kind of. There should be a best... We've got a good relationship with them, I think. Wishful thinking, it's a dream signing Kvara from PSG. You're more likely to get Barcola out of PSG than Kvaratskhelia. But I'd rather go for Yildiz, personally. Moving on from Nwaneri, like I said, for me, tough learning curve, good thing for him. Ødegaard. Lots of talk about Martin Ødegaard right now. Had a conversation about it on the podcast today, which was what it was. A lot of people are talking about him in the fan base, outside of the fan base. Does he start when he's fit? Now, the last time he was fit was against Leeds, and he was benched. That was the first time, really, that we have seen a fit Martin Ødegaard, completely available for a game, benched. He then got injured in that game. We've not seen him since. And we don't know if he's going to be back. Or maybe we do know if he's going to be back. Look at Hand of Arsenal. Oh, yeah, no, Hand of Arsenal said Ødegaard's back in training this week. So maybe he's available for Brentford, maybe he's not. I think, truthfully, most games at the moment, Havertz probably starts. If I'm honest. Because one thing that you simply cannot overlook is that most of the squad has stayed the same. And against Leeds and against Sunderland, we have looked really good. Not just really good in terms of scoring 7 goals in 2 games, but much more solid defensively again. And we had lost that a little bit. We'd lost that defensive side a little bit, right? We'd been conceding goals here, there. And I do think Ødegaard stopped winning duels big time. Now, he's never been a massive duel winner. But I think off the back of the injuries that he's had in the last 18 months and leading into a World Cup where he's going to captain Norway at their first World Cup in 30 years, I think Ødegaard is scared of getting injured. And I think the result of that is that he's pulling out of 50-50s and he's not committing to them. And we were losing a lot of duels in the middle of the pitch. And he started getting subbed before the hour mark when we needed goals. And so I think the reality is, until it's broken, Havertz keeps that position. And we rotate between Jesus and Gyökeres as the starting striker, and Havertz has that position. Now, Kai Havertz can't play all game every game. He's just coming back from virtually a year off. I think Kai Havertz starts against Brentford. He doesn't start or maybe even play any minutes against Wigan. And then he starts next week against Wolves. The question then becomes, if Martin Ødegaard is no longer a guaranteed starting player, can he continue to be the captain? This season, absolutely. Taking the captaincy off him now would be the dumbest thing you could possibly do, because it would be the most unnecessary drama. But going into next season, if you end this season with him not being a guaranteed starter and not starting games, and you start next season that way, can he be the captain? I don't particularly care, is the answer to that question. But a lot of people will. A lot of people already don't want him to be the captain. I've always said he's a leader by example, and that I'm happy for him to be captain. And you listen to the way that people speak about him. You listen to the way that the academy kids talk about him. I think he is a great leader and a great leader by example. But it is more difficult to lead by example if you're not starting games. And I would argue that recently he's not been leading by example. And it's an interesting conversation. When was the last time they voted for the captaincy? I think they did it last season. I think they had a vote relatively recently, in fairness. And everyone voted for him. So I don't know. I love him too much. Me too, but it's a tricky one. Got tickets to watch Havertz in Toronto at the World Cup. You'll love to see it. Actually, there was someone on the... is that for Germany versus Côte d'Ivoire? The Ivory Coast? Is that for that game? Because there was someone on the watch-along yesterday that said they got tickets for Germany versus Ivory Coast in Toronto. If Kai starts against Wolves, it would be a 50-50 starts against Spurs 3 days later. True, maybe he doesn't start against Wigan or Wolves, in fairness. But then we start him in the North London derby, to be fair. I'd rather play Ødegaard against Wigan and Wolves. Yeah. You make a fair point. I think you make a reasonable point there, actually, yeah. Yeah. You can always bring Havertz on anyway against Wolves if we needed it. If Rice or Gabby was captain, the whole team would naturally give at least 3% more. See, that's something I'm not like... I don't entirely buy into the... A lot of people think the captain needs to be like your old school Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira, Tony Adams. I'm not sure they have to be. There have definitely been captains gone by recently that haven't been that type of captain. But they do need to be present on the pitch most of the time. Like, you're in moments on the pitch when you need to dig deep, or when you need someone to take responsibility of the tempo of the game, or when you need someone to take responsibility of the emotions of the game. You need, if that's your captain and you look to your captain, they need to be on the pitch, right? They need to be on the pitch most of the time. And so if Ødegaard is no longer starting games, then that becomes a problem. And there is a reality, right? If Gabriel or Declan Rice was the captaincy wouldn't be up for debate. So Ødegaard is the captain, and the captaincy, whether you like it or not, whichever side of the debate you fall on, I still think he should be captain, for now at least. There is a debate there, and it is something that's spoken about. If Rice or Gabriel was the captain, you'd be like, yeah, that's a captain. That's our captain. So I kind of hear the point. But people that are calling him, I've seen people calling for him to be stripped of the captaincy now. That does just unnecessary damage to the season. It's unnecessary drama, completely unnecessary drama. Adams was the captain when we won the league. Also, Campbell was captain. Yeah. I'm not saying that they were bad captains, but I'm saying there are other captains that haven't been like that have also... Gundogan captained Man City to the treble. Gundogan's not that type of player. You know? There are ways that you can do it. Mad that Rice is for... Well, yeah, technically, the second choice captain, the vice captain is Saka, right? So, if Saka was captain, do you reckon there'd be a debate? Yeah, I do. Put it, if Ødegaard, if the captaincy came up for grabs, for me, it would definitely go to Rice or Gabriel, not Saka. Again, Saka is an absolute leader by example, but I think it would go to Gabriel or Rice, in my opinion. I wouldn't strip him. No, I wouldn't strip him of it. Summed up the HOA story in your DMs if you feel like reading. Let me read out a little DM from Nid. Let's read a DM from Nid. When will Ødegaard be back? The plan is to integrate him this week. He had a minor injury. Injury reporting is impossible because what you report could be true at the time of reporting, and the next day the player can aggravate it, and now the player is out longer. Then you're a fraud. It's a thankless endeavour, but we try. I think Ødegaard will be in the squad on Thursday, if I'm honest with you. I think he'll be in the squad. Trossard injury update, cramp. All-time Emirates player for you. He said if we win what we have to win, what we hope to win, Saliba has a real chance of being high on that list. Generational, but we're so used to him, we won't notice him until he scored a 40-yard volley. Remember his debut versus Palace. He's been in every team of the season at that young age. Fair point. No much if we're going to buy Hincapié in the summer. I'm praying we do. Unless Arsenal do something they have never done, unless Arsenal do something they've never done, the expectation is we will sign him. Also, fans need to give players grace. Yeah, I've spoken about that before. Yeah, there's a couple of extra things that are interesting if you want to check out Hand of Arsenal's. If you want to check out Hand of Arsenal's Instagram story, it's on there. It's in reality, it's up to the players. No, 100% it's up to the players. It is up to the players. Someone quoted that yesterday. The reason City won was not because of their brilliance, rather the poor performance of Liverpool. Never felt more comfortable. Yeah, look, this is the thing, and we'll talk about yesterday. Let's bring me up here. So look, there's the reaction to yesterday, in my opinion, like I said at the start, has been very much, wow, Man City are mounting the pressure now. Well, pressure's on Arsenal now. Man City, you know, they've shown their mentality. They're a shark that smells blood. Yada, yada, yada. I disagree. And I'll tell you why. Man City weren't that good yesterday. Man City's performance yesterday was very similar to performances we've seen this season. They were the better team in the first half quite comfortably. They couldn't take any of their chances in the first half. They were far worse in the second half. Liverpool deservedly went ahead because they should have scored before that with Ekitike. Gay, could have been sent off. And at that point in the game, I don't even think Man City thought they would get back into it. And Liverpool gifted it. They gifted it. They played Bernardo Silva onside for the first goal. They give the penalty away for the second goal. It was a gift. And you look at the reactions from those City players at the end of the game. Rodri, I don't think I've ever seen him that emotional, other than maybe when they won the Champions League. There was a real emotion to it. Now, you might say, well, that's a good thing, and that's going to have elevated the camp massively. They're going to win that and think, wow, we can beat anyone, and this is going to be our year. If it was Arsenal getting that emotional at this point in the season, people would be saying different things. Now, I have no issue with the emotion side of things. No issue at all. But I would say my focus is on Arsenal performances and Arsenal results, right? There are 13 games to go. If we win 11, draw 1 and lose 1, we win the league no matter what Man City do. Even if Man City win their remaining 13 games straight. If we go to the Etihad and don't lose, so if we draw at the Etihad, we can then still draw another and lose another, win 10, and we win the league. I watched an interview with Bernardo Silva after the game yesterday. He said, we knew if we lost this game, the title race was done. That's the mentality that Man City have right now. If we lost this game, the title race is done. That means that that's the mentality going into the game against Fulham on Wednesday. And if we beat Brentford, that's their mentality going into the game against Newcastle on Saturday. And if we beat Spurs and they keep winning, that's the mentality going into their game against Leeds. Every single game for them right now is, if we lose, we're out of the title race. That's the pressure. They are the ones under pressure. They have to win and win and win, and we only have to match them. And so people talking about, talking like 10 wins is easy. No, it's not easy. It's not easy, but we're capable of doing it. We're more than capable of doing it. And it's the performances from Arsenal for me that have made me confident. Because if we had scraped through against Sunderland, right, and we'd played badly and we scraped like a 1-0 or a 2-1 like we did against Wolves at home, I'd be more worried. And if Man City had blitzed Liverpool and really thoroughly deserved to win, I'd be more worried. This weekend looked like Arsenal and City have looked all season. And so that's the thing that's keeping me comfortable. In terms of, someone said they think Man City have got slightly easier fixtures than us. I'm not so sure, right? They've got Fulham at home. We've got Brentford away. That's probably slightly more difficult for us. They've got Newcastle at home. We've got Spurs away. Probably slightly more difficult for us. They've got Leeds away. We've got Chelsea away. Probably slightly more difficult for us. They've got Forest at home. I don't know who we have at that point. To be fair, after the Chelsea game, I don't know exactly who we've got. They've got Forest at home. They've got West Ham away. They've got Palace at home. Then they've got Chelsea away straight after an international break. Then they play us at home. Burnley away easy. Then I got Everton away, difficult. Brentford at home, probably all right. But then Bournemouth away, Villa at home, final 2 games of the season. Those 2 games for them are difficult games. For us, Brentford away, I think we should win. Wolves away, we should win. Spurs away, difficult. Chelsea away, at home, difficult. Brighton away, Brighton's form currently is absolutely diabolical. So I think that should be all right. And it's also a midweek game, so they've got to play twice, same as us. Everton at home, not too bad. Bournemouth at home, not too bad. Of course, City away. Newcastle at home, not too bad given their form. Fulham at home, not too bad. West Ham away, not bad. Burnley at home, already relegated, not bad. Palace away, they're not going to be fighting relegation, and hopefully they've got a final to come after that in the Conference League. If we get to the Etihad, if we get out of the Etihad, top of the league, we win the league. In my opinion. And they've got to play Villa on the final day, and Villa might be fighting for Champions League spots at that point. So, to play against the bottom teams could be more difficult in the end of the season. Yeah, but bear in mind, we get to 2 of our remaining games are away at Wolves, who have definitely already given up, and then at home to Burnley, who at that point will have absolutely given up. West Ham will have either probably been relegated by this point or safe by this point, depending on what happens. So we just got to keep going. Rory, wild one, but do you think we should try and get Nick Vultemada? No clue how to spell it, and play him in the 10. I think it would be good, maybe in the summer. No. Not for me. I think Kai Havertz is a better player. Kai Havertz is the player that we have doing this right now, and I think Kai Havertz is a better player. So the red card should have been given 100%, and if you deep it, the only reason they go back to the red card is Haaland's shirt pull on Dominic. How wasn't Haaland given a second yellow? To be fair, Haaland isn't given a second yellow because he's not stopped. It's a shirt pull, but he's not stopped anything from happening. He's not stopped an attack or anything, right? He stopped a defensive move. So I don't think you would get a yellow for that, in fairness. Can't wait to see the remake of Gyökeres going through the tunnel with the PL trophy. I hope so. I hope so. We will be a game ahead after we play Wolves as well. Yeah, that's another thing. People talk about that 3-point gap, but actually when we play against Wolves, City don't play here. That's their game against Palace where they catch that up. So, yeah, that's always one of them. Would you rather have the points on the board or the game in hand? I think you'd rather have the points on the board. Eze for Trossard on Thursday? Possibly. Eze looked good when he came on. When he had space, we need to get that out of Eze more. We do need to get that out of Eze more. City play Palace in late April. Yeah, it's late on for them, yeah. Would you rather have a guard of honor at the Etihad or win the league at the Etihad? Guard of honor. I want to win the league at the Emirates because I'll be there. I want to win the league at the Emirates. Long way to go for that, though. But I think winning the league in front of your home fans is the way that you want to do it. Did you see Digne's defending for Bournemouth's goal? Yeah, it was crazy. 400 watching, 111 likes. Do you use bots? No, I don't use bots. I just have ungrateful people that don't like the streams. No, you're not ungrateful. But if you could like the stream, I would be appreciative. So if you could do that. Can we ask for a fixture shift so that the last game is at home? No, you can't do that. You can't do that, unfortunately. Peter, thank you very, very much for the $4.99. We have Everton at home in between round of 16 for champs, whereas City are away to West Ham. Yes, that is true. We also, if they make it to the quarterfinals, which could be against us, but if we make it to the quarterfinals and they make it to the quarterfinals, they are away from home before they play us. We're at home before we play them. So that's another slight advantage. Almost 35k subscribers. Yeah, it's crazy. If you're not already subscribed, please make sure you do subscribe. We're on the way to 35,000, which is absolutely wild. How are we today? I was on the back post stream and made the Top Gear comment. Oh, nice. You got a good little conversation out of that, Isaac. I appreciate that. When's the UCL draw? End of February. 27th of February, I think, off the top of my head. Obviously, it comes after the playoffs. So, yeah, I need to sneeze in a minute, I think. Got a sneeze brewing. Maybe not. It might be disappearing, actually. I think I might have just overridden a sneeze there. That's some serious willpower. I've just fully overridden a sneeze. I think the Carabao is getting more and more important for our mentality to lift the trophy and get over the line. I don't disagree. Beat them in the cup final, knock them out of the Champions League, beat them at the Etihad in the Premier League. Bosh. That would be a dream. That would be an absolute dream. Me and Nid been here since before 7K. Absolute legends. Who should start versus Brentford? Without knowing exactly who's fit, it's hard to know. We'll have a Brentford preview later in the week. We'll have a Brentford preview on Wednesday evening. So we'll go through that in that stream. Look, it is time for the quiz. As always, get your fingers on your keyboards. First person to get it right wins the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. Today's question is this. Arsenal's top 3 scorers in the Premier League this season are Victor Gyökeres, Leandro Trossard, and who? Arsenal's top 3 scorers in the Premier League this season are Victor Gyökeres, Leandro Trossard, and who? Not own goals. It's not own goals. Bum, 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 bum. It is... Ola Aronson got it first. It is indeed Martin Zubamendi. Ola Aronson is first. RH is second. Ethan Udall is third. Julian is fourth. And Martin Erder, 87, is fifth. There we go. Congratulations. Not the best question today, but I was absolutely rushing around before the start of the stream. So I apologize for the poor quiz question there. But look, congratulations to Ola Aronson. Anyway, that is going to be the end of the stream. I massively appreciate you for watching. As always, please do like and subscribe before you jump off. I will hopefully be back tomorrow, although I might not be, to be honest with you, because I've got a Zach Jalab shoot. So, yeah. But I'm going to try. The consistency on the channel has been through the roof, so I'll try my best. If not, it will definitely be a stream on Wednesday. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will catch you all on the next one. Until then, goodbye.